Hello students. So today class we're going to discuss about heredity. So heredity is nothing but the passing of genetic trait from parent to offspring. So that is the parent to the babies. So here you can see in this picture the parent as well as the offspring, that is their babies. Okay. So there will be the equal amount of genetic material, that is DNA, which is transferred from parent, that is father as well as the mother. So these we're going to discuss in brief. What is heredity? So we're going to discuss now. The progeny, that is offspring, produced through the reproductive process is similar to its parent in body design, function, etc. The rules of heredity determine the process by which the trait and the characteristic are relatively inherited. The inheritance of characteristic through generation is called heredity. In simple words, transferring the characters from one generation to the next generation is called heredity. The inheritable characteristic may be morphological, anatomical, physiological, reproductive, or also known as trait. So what is trait? Yes, it is an inheritable characteristic features where it depends on the morphological, anatomical, physiological and the reproductive or known as trait. If we take a very close look at the rule of inheritance, both father and mother contribute equal amount of genetic material to the child. Yes, so the father bears 50% as well as the mother bears 50% of the gene. So make you as a 100% species, that is progeny. If we take a very close look at the rules of inheritance, both father and mother contribute equal amount of genetic material, that is DNA, to the child. It's not only in the Homo sapien, it refers for all the mammals where it undergoes the reproduction process. So there will be the equal amount of sharing between the father as well as the mother to make a child or to bear a child. This means that each trait can be influenced by both paternal and maternal genetic material, that is DNA. I repeat, so this means that each trait can be influenced by both paternal and maternal genetic material is deoxyribonucleic acid. Now we move on to the rules for the inheritance of trait. Is actually the pure form of the Mendel contribution. Who is this Mendel? Mendel is the father of genetics. Gregor Johann Mendel. His full name is Gregor Johann Mendel. In 1822 to 1884, he worked out the first ever scientific experimental study on heredity. So he chosen a pea plant, that is Pisum sativum. Mendel, he was an Augustinian monk, observed variation in the characteristic of garden pea plant, that is Pisum sativum, which he had cultivated in his monastery garden. Mendel was curious to find out the result of crossing of pea plant with a variation in trait. So he found out the visible contrasting character that Mendel observed in the garden pea plant were given below. So we were going to study the different traits where we study the variation of the characteristic features, that is the trait by Mendel experimental view. So first we're going to study about seed shape. Okay, so that is the garden pea. So garden pea Pisum sativum, we're going to study the seed shape. So here you can see the character dominant trait and the recessive trait. What is this dominant and recessive? Dominant trait is nothing but in the first generation, that is a filial form of generation. So which have the dominant character is considered to be the dominant trait. Where the recessive trait, where we will call that as recessive genes, are called hidden genes. So which can be started with a generation, but it hidden in F1 generation and exhibited in F2 generation. So there we will consider that to be the recessive trait. So here you can see the seed shape is round, okay, which is green in color. Here you can see the seed shape round, okay, the shape will be round. So in the right hand side you can see the recessive trait where the garden pea is wrinkled, okay. So it's not obviously the round shape, it is wrinkled. It's like very dry in nature. So these are the seed shape where round and wrinkled, which is observed by Mendel's experiment. Next we move on to seed color, yellow color and green color. So he found the variation of the color. One is yellow in color and other one is green in color. So here you can see the character where the dominant trait we will say that is yellow and the recessive trait will be the green. So here you can see there will be the visible color of yellow and green. So these are the seed. Now we are going to discuss about flower color. Violets are the white. So here the variation shown violet color as well as the white color. So violet color will be the dominant trait and the white color is considered to be recessive trait. So here you can see the variation right with violet and white color variation. Next we move on to pod shape, whether it is very full or constricted. So here the dominant trait character will be pod shape considered to be full. On right hand side you can see the recessive trait will be constricted. Next we move on to the pod color, whether it is green color or yellow color. So the dominant character, that is the dominant trait, will be green and recessive trait will be yellow. So these are the flower color variation, pod shape variation as well as the pod color variation which is identified by Mendel. So based on the location, considered to be the position, right? Yeah. So based on the flower position, they are axillary or terminal. So here you can see axial will be the dominant trait and terminal will be the recessive trait. So this will be the flower position. And next characteristic features, very important trait to be followed by the Mendel with the help of this Pisum sativum. So with the help of this character, mainly he was given the hybrid cross, that is the monohybrid cross as well as the dihybrid cross, where we are going to discuss upcoming classes. So that is the very important trait, that is stem height. Stem height. So whether the stem is tall or dwarf. So tall, you know, dwarf is small. So based on the stem height only, we will consider whether the plant is tall or small. So in Pisum sativum, it was identified and it was observed most of the tall plants which receive the dominant trait character, whereas the dwarf will be the recessive trait. So actually this character which plays an important role in Mendel experimental view, where he can do his procedure and where he can do and establish the work with the experiment called monohybrid cross as well as the dihybrid cross. So this we will discuss in next class. Thank you.